All right, here we go. We are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. Hopefully you are all doing well. We just experienced our first real cold since I've been here down in Florida. We actually, for the past 2 nights, experienced temperatures to the mid to upper 30s, so that was interesting. But we didn't even use any heat because being people who lived in New York, me for 48 years, and my wife living in Connecticut for most of her life. The cold, it was cold, but it wasn't something that was as, death-defying as some people would be leading you to believe that are regulars here in Florida. I mean, people were afraid to go out. They thought it was so cold. But it's starting to get warmer again. We're looking towards 80-degree weather in the next day or so. So back to normal for Florida weather in January. And I thought I would do a video that I haven't done in a while, show an update on some of my comics. I'm going to do a top 25 comics. They all happen to be slabbed because all the comics that I get that I feel are the most valuable and the ones that are most cherished to me, I always get slabbed. So every one of them is a slab book. And if you like these kind of videos, I have other ones that I've done in the past. And also, if you want to be kind enough to hit the thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. So, with that being said, there we go. Let's put on the video camera. Now, what I like to do is I'll show the book. I'll tell the significance of the book because they're all key issues. And then I'll mention what price I paid for them at the time I bought them. So this way you kind of get a general idea. Now, keep in mind, many of these books I bought 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So some of these you're definitely not going to get the prices that I paid. But hey, you never know. Deals are out there. So Gotham City is the first one to leave a comment. Hello to you too, good sir. And here we go. Now this book I bought raw. I knew it was a pretty high grade book. I got this for such a great price. And this comic character is going to... I was telling people about 3 or 4 years ago, expect this character to come back. Many people... didn't listen or didn't believe me for some reason. I guess they didn't believe me when I said I had sources. But he's on his way, but he's not here yet. So this book is going up. It's going to continue to go up. I have several copies, but this is my highest grade that I have now. I had one that was a little bit higher, but I had to sell it back when I was living in New York to move here. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But the first book in my top 25 is Marvel Spotlight, number 15. I'm sorry, number 5, which is the first appearance of Johnny Blaze. Came back a 6.5, so very happy with that. Off-white to white pages. It is also the first appearance of Roxanne Simpson. And, yeah, I don't know which version of Ghost Rider they're going to use, but I think the rumors are it will be Johnny Blaze. This is absolutely a book to get if you can get it. Even in lower grades, I have a couple of them in lower grades, because you know how I say all the time, low grade is better than no grade. I only paid a total of $212 for that book. So considering the grade I got, because, sometimes you can luck out if you know what to look for on eBay, Amazon, or any of those places, or even in a comic book store, if you can look at the grades, because there's been some where somebody said it was a 4.0 and ended up being a 9.0. I don't know how they figured that out. My alarm is going off. Give me a second. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I apologize. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Left my cell phone alarm on. Okay, so that was number 25. Matt is here. Punisher is here. Matt says, I love these type of videos. Me too. I love watching other people's videos because if anything, it can sometimes show you comics that you have never seen before or may have, out of sight, out of mind, or didn't know had a specific character's first appearance or death or something, crucial into the book, or just knowing about a movie or TV show. So yeah, I like watching these as well. All right, so next up, I actually have 3 copies of this book. I had a higher one, but again, had to sell it to move here. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But number 24, Avengers #1, first appearance of the Avengers. I mean, what can you say about this book? This is one I bought raw. It's got a lot of, I can't say damage, but there is writing on it. And some kid at some point cut out the Hulk. They put a beard on Thor. So it's a lower grade. It's only a 1.5. But I paid $1,399 for this book. These books keep going up. Very happy with this. Off-white pages. Me, I don't mind lower grade books and everything. Because, yeah, the Hulk got cut out and everything. But it still presents well. It's still Avengers #1. I'm definitely not going to complain about it. And absolutely a book you should have in your collection. Next up, this is one I bought a couple years ago when I was still living in New York. So number 23 is Amazing Spider-Man #6, which is the first appearance of the Lizard, who is one of the characters that they didn't really utilize too much in the No Way Home movie. They didn't really do much with him, but I mean, they couldn't do it with everybody. You know, there's only a certain amount of time you can do. But regardless of a movie or not, this is, you know, anything, the first 20 Amazing Spider-Man books, you can't go wrong. I mean, for the amount of villains that you get introduced in that time period, there is no other character that had that many villains that are this popular in that short amount of time. So to have even the first 10 books of Amazing Spider-Man is amazing. I paid $525 for this book. It's a 6.0, so I'm very happy with that. This has off-white pages, which, you know, 6.0 with off-white pages from a book from 1963, definitely not bad at all. So I bought this book a couple years ago, right before any booms of this book. But, you know, books like this don't need movies or TV shows to make them popular or valuable. It just bumps them up a little bit more at that time. All right, number 22. I had a 6.0 of this book at one point, but it's another book that I sold to move here. I actually did it with my comic book mystery boxes. It was a $5,000 mystery box, and there were 20 different comics in it. One person got this book in a 6.0. Had to sell it, you know, like I said, you have to kind of sell stuff if you want to be able to do things. But I have 3 of these books. This is the highest I have left of the 3, but I'm still happy to own it. And that, of course, is Daredevil #1. The fact that they put Charlie Cox's version of Daredevil in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, everybody who loved that series, and I loved the Netflix series, I was sad when it ended. But I guarantee you, everybody that was a fan of that Netflix series was jumping up and down when they saw, even though it was like literally a 30-second spot, if that, Charlie Cox's version, and also the Kingpin in the MCU, which, in my opinion, they're not finished with him. That's not a one-and-done character, despite what they did in the Hawkeye series, which I won't mention in case you haven't seen it. But this is a low-grade 2.0, off-white to white pages. The major problem is they cut this out and it goes all the way around, so somebody tore that off, probably put it on their book or something when they were a kid. But I only paid $462.55 for this book. Bought it raw, got it graded, came back a 2.0. The rest of the cover presents really well. Yeah, it's a loved book. It means somebody read it, which I have no problem with. And first appearance of Daredevil, of course, but it's also first appearance of Karen Page, Foggy Nelson, and death of Jack Murdock, which is, you know, Daredevil Matt Murdock's father. So there's that. So number 21. Hopefully I'm getting the number order right. This book I bought already graded. I bought this back in New York. I bought it because I listened to my sources, and they told me that there was going to be a Punisher Netflix series. Well, they didn't say Netflix series, but they said Punisher is coming to a TV show, and I happened to buy this right before they made the official announcement. So I got a really good price on this, but this one was already graded when I bought it. And that is for number 21, Amazing Spider-Man number 129, first appearance of the Jackal, and of course, first appearance of the Punisher. Now, I would love to see John Bernthal, I'm sure I butchered his last name there, in the MCU. I would be shocked if it doesn't happen, because, with Disney money, they could make anything happen. But it would be amazing to see him show back up again, especially if they do a Midnight Sun series, because he would work perfect with that. And they got to keep it violent. They can't really PG-13 him down. It just doesn't really work with the character. And they don't have to go over the top gore either. There is a middle ground. But I got this one at an 8.0. This has off-white pages. Only paid $547.95 for this book. But like I said, I bought this around 2017, 2018. I forget. But that's another book. Add to your collection if you haven't gotten it. Because especially The Punisher's coming back. Whether it's the Netflix version or not. I mean, they've already done it with Matt Murdock and with Kingpin. So who knows? They might do it with Jessica Jones. I don't think they'll be doing it with some of the other characters, most likely. But those three, Jessica Jones, Matt Murdock's Daredevil, and John Berthenol's, or again, I'm going to butcher his name, the Punisher, they got to bring him back. I hope they do. Next up, book I bought several of back in 2017, I believe, or 2016, when I first came back into comic book collecting. I bought these raw, sent them into CGC way before I even knew about pressing. So this book was never pressed. Again, it's another book. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's expensive, but it's going to keep getting expensive because this character has yet to have a live-action movie, but they have been in other movies, so you probably might know where I'm going with this. But this, of course, is Edge of Spider-Verse 2, first appearance of Spider-Gwen. This is the first print. I did have the 1 in 25 variant in a 9.8, but unfortunately I was dumb enough to sell it back when I had the flea market. I still regret it. I regretted selling it then. I regret it even more because it's worth probably 4 or 5 times what I paid for it even then. But I have several copies of this. This came back when I sent it to CGC at 9.8. And like I said, I never even got these books pressed because back then I didn't even know there was such a thing as pressing. And of course, white pages. I paid a total of... I didn't write the price down on this one because that was before I started doing that. But I did not pay more than $35 for one of these books. I paid between $19 and $35 for every copy I own. I think I own between 5 and 6 copies. I gave a couple away with some of the, either sold them for when I moved or in the mystery boxes. And again, if you want to look at the mystery boxes I have, just go in the link in the description. You can order them off my website. There's $100 ones up to $5,000, and the $5,000 one, you're not getting any junk. There's no garbage comics in there. They're all keys with some kind of significance to them. So I would say with the grading, I probably paid about $50 total for this, give or take. So no matter what, I can't complain about that. All right, number 19. And thank you to the 7 people kind enough to hit the like button. This is another one. I was telling people to get this when the Fox movie basically wasn't going to go anywhere. And when most people were selling at that point, which is the worst time to be doing something like that, I was buying, and I got a great deal before they announced these particular characters in a Marvel movie once Disney acquired Fox Studios. I was very happy to get this at the price I did. I bought it probably 3 or 4 years ago. This is Fantastic Four, issue number 2. First appearance of the Skrulls. And also the last 10-cent issue. And the last time they are without costumes. Because in Fantastic Four number 3 is when they don their costumes. So they're still in their street clothes in this issue. So I bought this. It was already graded a 3.5. Off-white to white pages. I paid only $492.52 for this book. And if they ever do the Secret Invasion book like that, is going to continue to go up. So again, it's an expensive book, but considering where they may be headed, and I say may because nothing's guaranteed until it happens, if they do Secret Invasion with the Skrulls, I mean, what do you think's going to happen to that book? So if you can find a deal or even pay the current value of the book, which I normally don't like to do unless I know something's going to happen, but if you can get it at current value or a little bit less, pick up that book. Or if you can't get that, I think it's Fantastic Four either 17 or 18, which is the first Super Skrull. That's not as an expensive book, but definitely one worth getting. All right, I believe this is, let me see, 5, 4, 2, 1, 20, 19. All right, so this is number 18. This book, really happy to get this. It's just a matter of time before this character ends up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a Golden Age book. I love collecting Golden Age. If you don't have a Golden Age book, there's just something about them when you hold something that's, 70, 80 years old. It's just something different about it. I bought this raw. This is from 1941. This is Submariner, issue number 2. Now, this has, I don't know because there are people with conflicting thoughts about it, but this is either the second or third time Stan Lee ever had a story in a comic in his career. So this has significance because there is a Stan Lee story in this book. So Submariner number 2, if anybody knows specifically, again, it's either his second or third story ever in his history. So very happy to obtain this book. I paid $979. Bought it raw. Came back a 1.5 with a little bit of minor glue along the spine. I'm perfectly fine with that. But what can I say about Submariner? I mean, I'm looking forward. The rumors are he's going to be in the Black Panther 2 movie, but we'll see. But, I mean, like I said, even without a movie, I mean, that's just an iconic book. So, especially with that early Stan Lee story in there. And this, like I said, came out, it says Marvel Summer 1941. All right, next up, number 17. This is a book where I just happened to luck out with this one. Because I was looking for this specific book. Normally I don't look for specific books. Actually, no, I didn't. I was just looking for books that are just about to end. And this one was about probably 2 to 4 hours before it ended. And there were no bids on... No, I'm sorry, excuse me. There was one bid on it. It was a 10-day auction. There was about 3 or 4 hours left. This ended around 3 or 4 in the morning. And there was only one bid at the time. No one else bid after that. The reason is, well, I'll show you the book first. I bought this raw, got it graded. So this is Showcase 22, which is the first Silver Age Green Lantern and the first appearance of, the first appearance of the Silver Age Green Lantern and the first appearance of Abin Sur and Carol Ferris. I don't know who they are. I'm not a huge DC fan. But this is absolutely... This came out in 1959. Came back through 3.0 off-white to white pages. Now, the reason there weren't a lot of bidders on this, they didn't write Showcase. They wrote Shoecase. So whoever did this put a E instead of a W. Because if you look on your keyboard, the E and the W are right next to each other. So they probably accidentally hit the E and just did not notice they did it. So only one person bid. I was the second bidder because I, at the time, was suffering from sleep disorders, basically. And was up at the time. And I won it. And I only placed the minimum bid. And the person just figured, 4 hours left. Go to bed, wake up, and win the next day. They just placed the minimum bid. So I paid $810. So this was, the bid was $800. I won it for $810 because the person just made an $800 bid, and with me, with my insomnia at the time, stayed up until 3, 4 in the morning, whatever it was, ended up making the bid and won it. So very happy with that. And it showed sometimes luck is involved with this stuff. Not everything, just happens to go the way you search for it. Sometimes you just need luck in your life, which I don't get very often. This one I don't have a price for because I did a trade on it. I was on Craigslist, and there was a person that lived probably about 25 minutes, a half hour away from me here in Florida, that was selling this and several other of this book. Not the complete set, but close enough. I do have the complete set now. But I basically traded him X-Men comics that he was looking for. The lowest one I traded him for was an X-Men 12, but it was a low-grade book. And they were duplicates of all ones that I had. So it didn't really matter to me. I mean, some of them, they were significant, but they were all lower-grade books. And I had no problem trading for this book. There's rumors that there's a TV show that's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, so who knows? But this is a rarer book. It's got, I think, at least 7 prints. Actually, at least 9 prints. So if you can get your hands on this, get it. This book was graded. The others that he did with the trade, none of them were graded. But very happy to have this in my collection. This is Bone number 1. First print. Pretty rare book, especially in higher grade. It does have some pressable defects, so I may one day crack this open and get it pressed with PGX and have it graded again. I'm not sure about it, but this is a White Pages. This came out in 1991. If you've never heard of this series, it's actually interesting because it started out with Cartoon Books was the company. Jeff Smith did the story, cover, and art. And then at one point, Image got the rights to it. And they did, I think from, issue 20 to, 34 or something like that. And then it went back to this company. So it's a little weird trying to figure out the books for this. But you definitely want to make sure you get first prints. And they're very hard to determine because all of the prints are the exact same thing, except the word bone is in different colors. So you really got to know what you're doing with this book so you don't get fooled into getting what you thought might have been a first print and ends up being a 4th or 5th print. Because there's a lot of printings, especially the first 10 books. I think a lot of them have at least 4 to 5 printings. So make sure you know the color. And the easiest way to look it up is look up a graded book on eBay and you'll see the color. Some of them are even close in color, so be very careful about that. Absolutely a great book to have in your collection. All right, number 15. I have several copies of this book. This one blew me away. It shows why it pays to do your research and to do your due diligence. This was a just listed group of comics. It was about, I believe, between 30 and 40 comics. Every single other book is just a fill-in for a run. This is the key book that they did not even show in the first thumbnail image. So if you saw the listing and you saw the thumbnail image, you would see just a generic run of the comics. I happened to look, and this book was on the second image, so unless you clicked on it, you wouldn't have seen it. So I paid, I don't remember the price for the whole run, but I think I paid around $50. And again, it was between 30 and 40 books altogether. All the other books, all the generic run versions of them were 2.5s, maybe 1.0s to 3.0s. I mean, they were all trash. This one book, which is the key book, was almost as close to, well, I can't say perfect, but in super high grade. So when you averaged it out, I paid about $5.43 a book. Sent this to get graded, and at the time I was only paying just the shipping cost. Well, I still have that. I just pay the shipping cost. So this book graded cost me a total of $9.43. This was included in there. Incredible Hulk number 180. First appearance in a cameo of Wolverine, which we know is coming to the MCU. Now, like I said, all the other books, they did not show this as the thumbnail. Nobody bid on it. I saw it and I grabbed it because I happened to click on the auction, going through the images, and the second image had this one, and I picked it up immediately. So I paid $9.43, got this sent to get graded. It came back a 9.0 with white pages. This book, I actually thought it was going to be higher than a 9.0. So I was actually not shocked, but I was actually surprised it came back that low. That's how beautiful this book was. So it shows, make sure you check, because sometimes you never know who is listing something. They may not have any clue as to the value of a book because they did not do their own research. They may have had their grandparents give it to them. They may have found it in the attic. Who knows? They may have bought it at a yard sale and didn't realize what they had. But this was not listed as the thumbnail. Every other book, it was just a complete run of Incredible Hulk books. All the others were in incredibly bad condition. You know, some of the covers were detached, some of them were wrinkled, some were stained. I mean, like I said, an average of probably a 3.0 for all the other books. This is the one that was in close, well, near mint minus. I think there's a 9.0 is very fine near mint, I'm not sure. But for $9.43, when Wolverine comes into the MCU, I mean, there's not much more that can be said. Deals are always out there. You just got to take the time and find them, even when you don't have a lot of money. Because trust me, just this alone, even if I said I paid $50 for the whole thing and just put $50 on this, it's a no-brainer. So again, thank you to the 14 people that hit the like button. We have 32 viewers. We're about at the half, well, almost to the top 10. This is number 13. I have several copies of this book. Again, when the Fox movie did horrible and everybody was selling, that's when I was buying. I bought this one raw and then got it graded. And this is another book. Again, it's expensive now, but it's still not reached its potential yet because these characters are coming to the MCU. They just haven't made it official yet. So it's just, they're going to keep going up. And Punisher said sometimes you can get a steal. You absolutely can. I've shown it on several occasions. But you got to put in the effort. At the time, I would literally refresh the newly listed books every 30 seconds for hours. So it was like a job for me, but it was a fun job. And I would find deal after deal. I mean, like, for example, these books. Amazing Spider-Man number 50. I paid $140 for this book. I got one of them I think I paid $50 for. You'd be amazed at what you can find if you put in the effort. So, you know, you get what you give. Put in the effort, you'll get the reward. It's just, if you expect to put in the effort for 30 seconds to get a reward, it's most likely not going to happen. You have to put in the time and the effort, and you have to know what you're doing. And sometimes you have to have a little luck. But most of mine isn't luck. It's effort. All right, so like I said, I have several of this copy. This is definitely a book to add to your collection. This is Fantastic Four, issue number 48. I wish I would have bought higher grades, but hey, I'll take it. I paid $454.95 for this book, and it came back a 5.0 with off-white to white pages. Doesn't have a date stamp, but it has one of the grease pencils, the stamp there, but that really doesn't affect the book. I have two others in a 5.0, and then I have a couple of the even lower grade. But for that price, I mean, you can't even buy a 0.5 for that price anymore. And this book is only going to continue to go up. So again, if you can get that book, get it while you can. All right, next up. This is a book I have several copies of. Another book I was telling people to get years ago. Even though this character has been in a movie recently, a movie is just not going to be necessary for this character and this comic. Because like I said before, when it comes to the first 20 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, a movie will help bump it up a little bit for a while, but you're never going to see these in the discount racks. So I pretty much gave it away at this point. I have probably about 5 or 6 copies of this book. This is my highest graded version. One of these got stolen from me years ago, which would have been much higher grade, but hey, it was stolen. What are you going to do? This, of course, is Amazing Spider-Man number 14. first appearance of the Green Goblin with his magical broomstick. It's also the first time Spider-Man and the Hulk ever met. I bought this raw. The seller on eBay either didn't know or didn't tell me, but it came back white pages, which I'm very happy about at a 5.5. But the first wrap and folio is married, but I'll take it. Like I said, I have several copies of this book. I don't have the price on this one, but I think I spent, I believe, $1,500. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that one. So that one, for some reason, I did not have the price on it, so I apologize for that. But I know I paid way under what it's valued. Next up, here's the ironic part. I did a video the other day about my 4 PGX books that came back. And before I got the package, I was setting up doing this. I was going to do the top 25. And I went in my box where I have my most valuable comics. And I said, you know, considering my financial situation and things that are going on, I'll probably not have another book in that top 25, top 30 box for a long time. But then I got a pleasant surprise from a book where PGX did an amazing pressing job on, because this book was high grade, but I wasn't going to say it was a 9.8 because it had literally 10 to 12 different wrinkles around the book, but none of them broke color. And this made my day, considering I had some bad situations that I'm not going to get into health-wise that I'm dealing with. But very happy to add this to my top 25 collection. It's gone down a little bit, but it's going to stay iconic. This, is, of course, is Star Wars number 42, which is the first comic book appearance of Boba Fett. Came back after a pressing and dry cleaning, a 9.8 with off-white to white pages. I mean, it's probably going to be hard to see, but if you can even see the staples on this book are perfect. The person I bought this from said they never read it, which, I mean, I guess they must have taken it out of the bag and board once or twice, because like I said, there were a couple of indents on the front and back, but none of them broke color. So that's why I tell people all the time, get your books pressed. So I bought this raw, only paid $215. Even with the price going down a little bit, because the show hasn't been doing as great as it had the potential to be, and, you know, they're going to have a second season so they could recharge the energy of the character and go in another direction. But I paid $215 for this book. Came back a 9.8 off-white to white pages. And this book is gorgeous. And this is why I stress, get your books pressed. All right, so let's see. All right, so this is number 11, and then we're getting to the top 10. This is a book I bought waiting for the movie that's going to be coming out. I mean, this to me is absolutely a classic. This is a Golden Age book. There was a seller that I bought this from on eBay that had it just listed as a buy it now. No best offers or anything. I contacted them and said, would you take a certain price? And they actually said yes. So, but for the fact of me contacting them, even if somebody else wanted it, they would have paid $1,000 more than I did. So it was basically like $995 off of what they would list, or $999. So basically $1,000 off just for asking. That's a significant deal. Now, where this goes remains to be seen, because sometimes it's harder with Golden Age books, but I absolutely love this book. This is Marvel Special Edition issue number 1. It's a one-shot, but this book predates Captain Marvel Avengers number 1. This is Shazam's first comic first solo comic ever. So his first appearances and everything, he didn't have a solo comic. This is it. It's a one-shot, but it predates. Now, this is also a rare book. To put in perspective how rare this book is, this is rarer than Batman number 1, Superman number 1, and Wonder Woman number 1. as far as how many of these books have been submitted to CGC. There are only about 95 to 100 of these books that have been submitted to CGC. Now, you don't know how many sent to CBCS or PGX or some that have never been sent in at all. But as far as what the CGC census is, this is rarer than those 3 books I just mentioned. Doesn't make it more valuable than them, of course. But there is going to be more Shazam movies, knock on wood, hopefully, unless things change. And there's definitely going to be that Black Adam movie. So it's just going to create more interest. I bought this graded. It's a 6.0. The amazing thing that blows my mind is there are 30 books that are higher graded than this one, and there is a 9.8 of this book, which blows my mind considering this book came out in 1940. That's older than some viewers' grandparents that are watching this right now. It's creamed off-white pages, and this is the first book devoted to Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, and predates Captain Marvel Adventures #1. They had this listed for $5,999, or it was $5,995. It's one of the two. Contacted them, asked them, listen, would you be willing to take $5,000 for it? And they said yes. So we'll see where this goes. But I mean, to me, to have something such a rare Golden Age book with a significance in it, very happy with that book. I just happened to at the time. There's a long story. You can watch the video I did. It's my last Golden Age purchase I've made, so you can look for it, and the whole story of how I got the money to get it is in there. So hopefully you'll check that out. All right, we are now in the top 10, and we're going to go with the same situation as the book I just showed. This is a low grade, but still happy to acquire this. I've always wanted this book. It's another Golden Age book. It came out in December of 1945. It does have a small amount of dried glue. Now, somebody, I'm sure, will say that PGX book I showed a couple of things back that said dried glue. And they'd probably say, oh, how come it doesn't have a restored purple label? Well, this book has some glue. It was graded by CGC and also has a blue label and has glue on it. It's 0.5. But this is Marvel Family Adventures, #1. This is the first appearance of Black Adam. Incredibly hard book and incredibly expensive book to get. Because for me to get this book, it's creamed off-white pages. It's a 0.5. It says a small amount of dried glue on the interior cover, and the centerfold, page 1 and 16 are detached. I paid $2,550, which is still not bad considering the significance of this book, because the second appearance of Black Adam did not happen until 1970. So between 1945 and 1970, they never used Black Adam again. So this is an absolute key book to get. I mean, I think a 3.5 on eBay is selling now between $5,000 and $8,000. So $25.50 for this book. Like I said, low grade is better than no grade. Very happy to have that in my collection. Will I ever upgrade it? Hey, if I win the lottery, I sure will. But I'll be happy with a 0.5 with a couple of detached pages and a little bit of glue that you'll never see unless you crack it open. And to each their own when it comes to collecting. I mean, would I love everything to be a 9.8? I sure would, but I'm not a millionaire, so even if there was a 9.8 of that book, I guarantee it'd probably be at least $750,000 to $1 million. I'll take $2,500 on a 0.5. It means I still own it. All right, next up, another book. I had 2 copies of it. Sold one of them graded. Another book I actually regret selling that early, but I stayed with this one. I bought these about a week or 2 after they came out, so I didn't pay cover price. But I still got good deals considering. Sent these to CGC before I knew about pressing, so this book was never even pressed. Absolutely a book to get. This, of course, is Captain Marvel #17. This is the second print. with Kamala Khan on the cover. This has only 1,000 copies in existence. So it's not a rare book, but it's a rarer book considering some print runs can go into the millions. With grading, I paid $88.88 for this book. So about $40 raw and about $40 with shipping and handling, insurance, and grading fees. And I did not even get this pressed. And it came back a 9.8 with white pages. Absolutely a book to get if you can get it. Very expensive now. I got another one that I bought raw that came back a 9.8 when I sent it to PGX. But I think I spent like $900 on it. And that was after asking for about a $400 or $500 discount. So this book is up there, but again, there is a TV show pretty much almost completed. They are doing reshoots. I wonder why. But definitely a book to get. But for $88.88, and that includes the shipping and handling and the insurance and the grading fees, that book is definitely going to... How far it goes, I guess, depends on the show. So I might be selling this one because I have no attachment to this character. So we'll see what happens. If somebody wants to make me a fair offer on it, I'd at least listen. So we'll see where that goes. All right, so number 8. And thank you for being patient. This is a longer video than I normally do, but some people like it. Some people don't. The ones that like it are the ones that matter to me. 22 people of those say they do, so thank you for those thumbs up. This is another one I bought a couple years ago. Paid about the going right price for this book, but I knew it wasn't going to stay there. Key Book was just in a movie, but again, this is a character that does not need a movie for this book to have value. It just boosted it up a little bit. Very happy with this. The eBay seller I bought it from said it was a much higher grade than what it came back as. They was promising it would be a minimum of a 5.5, and by the looks of it, it looked like it could be at least a 5.0 to a 5.5, but that didn't happen. But I still made out on this regardless. But be careful. Sometimes eBayers, they'll make a grade and just pull it out of their rear end. Because like I said, they said a 5.5. This came back a 4.0 when I got it graded with PGX. But still happy with it for the price I paid. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 3. I have almost the first 10. I have issue number 1, but it's coverless and it's missing like 2 pages. But for the price I paid for it, I think I paid like $350 for it. I mean, you could buy a page for $800 now. If you look on eBay, between $300 and $800, depending on which page. But this, of course, Amazing Spider-Man number 3, first appearance of Doc Ock, who was just in the movies. Probably won't use him again for a very long time. Who knows? Maybe you'll see him again with the Multiverse of Madness situation going on. But the character was played very well. I paid $1,455 for this book. This is still, nowadays, about a $4,000 or $5,000 book. So, off-white pages as well, which is great for a book from 1963. But again, you do not need a movie for this book to have value. I mean, first of all, it's Amazing Spider-Man number 3. First appearance of a major character. Arguably, of the first 3 books, this is the most iconic character. Because Vulture is great, but Doc Ock is definitely more popular than the Vulture. And the Chameleon was in number 1, and most people wouldn't even know who the Chameleon is. So this was the first major Amazing Spider-Man villain. And like I said, top 20 Amazing Spider-Man books, you can't go wrong. So for $1,455, very happy with that at the time I bought it. Next up, another book. Let me write. I know the price I paid for this. I scratched it off because I was actually selling, and a matter of fact, I was actually selling Amazing Spider-Man number 3 for $1,900 at my flea market. No one bought it. So let me just write the price because I know what it was. There we go. So this is another book I was selling at the flea market, and no one bought it, and I'm very glad because the TV show has come and gone. There's going to be a second series, and this was incredibly well done. Journey into Mystery 85. Third appearance of Thor, I believe. 83, 80, 45, yes. First appearance of Loki, Odin, Heimdall, and I believe the Rainbow Bridge, but it doesn't say. It says first appearance of Loki, Heimdall, Asgard, and the first appearance of Odin in a cameo. Bought this raw, paid $596 for this book. Again, this was about 3 or 4 years ago. Came back a 4.0 with off-white pages. I mean, with that TV show, and they're going to have another series, and he's not done yet, that character. This book is continuously skyrocketing. So I was selling this at the flea market at the time for, I believe, either $1,400 or $1,800. Either one is a steal. No one bought it. A lot of people do not know how to plan ahead. And at the time, there was already, not rumors, but they were saying they were making a Loki show. So it wasn't like it was done before any announcement was ever made. I have many books. I was even selling at my flea market, in the regular comic bins, an Ultimate Fallout 4 first print for $90, and nobody took it. So in a way, I'm actually glad my flea market business closed down because of how many books I ended up selling for 50, well, not 50, but 10 times less than what they're worth now. Like I said, I sold one of my Edge of Spider-Verse number 2s, the 1 in 25 variant, at a 9.8. I think I sold it for like $1,500, $1,400. That's like a $9,000, $10,000 book now. So I'm actually glad the flea market got closed down. But that book, again, that's about a $5,000 or $6,000 book, and continuing to go. All right, next up, speaking of which, absolutely love this book. Had 2 of these, sold one. Another one I regret, but I made a promise to somebody that wanted it. I was having seller's remorse, but I said, I gave him my word I would sell it. I sold it, but I happen to have this second one, had it pressed, dry cleaned, and could not be happier. The funny part is, when people look at this, they say, oh, how could this be a 9.8? Because there's a color breaking crease. It's not a color breaking crease. That's part of the artwork. So people have to know about images. And if you're not sure, look at already graded books. Because sometimes there's artwork on books. And I showed that on the Star Wars 42 when I did the unboxing PGX video. That there were a couple of spots that looked like they were color breaking little dots. But it ended up they were stars. So they were part of the artwork. So the same thing with this. The way to tell is you look at other books. And that line is there in every one, which means this is artwork. It's not a color breaking crease, although it looks like one. But this book, I cannot complain, is absolutely a book worth getting. Expensive at this point, but I was telling people for a long time. This is Ultimate Fallout 4. I believe this is the 1 in 25 Sarah Pacelli variant. I paid, with the shipping cost, with grading and everything else, I paid $159. It's a 9.8, and it's signed by Sarah Pacelli. Now, the spot that I'm talking about, when I remember I did the unboxing on this, people are like, oh, how can that be a 9.8? Right here, there's a little white line that people assume is a color breaking crease. That is part of the artwork. Go look up that comic, and you'll see right below the kneecap of this character, you'll see that line. So 9.8 for this book with white pages. Paid $159 for this book. I mean, what can I say? And he hasn't even had a live action movie yet. Yet being the key word. They're already setting it up. Alright, so the top 5. Here we go. This book I bought back in 2017. Again, thanks to the Fox movie. You could definitely see the Newton rings. That's the one thing about CGC books. I mean, this one, all over the place, Newton rings. But I don't care. I bought this one already graded. Bought it just before Disney acquired Fox. Because I knew they were going to do it. And when you have that kind of money, you don't let things like that slip by. This is absolutely a must-have in my opinion if you can get it, even in a 0.5 or coverless. This is Fantastic Four number 5. First appearance of Doctor Doom. If you cannot afford Fantastic Four number 5, get Fantastic Four number 6. That's the first, second appearance of Doctor Doom, second Silver Age appearance of the Submariner, and the first Marvel villain team-up. Definitely a lot cheaper than this book, but still has some major significance. And thank you for the correction, Everyday Non-Expert. I appreciate that. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, but it was definitely not it wasn't Sarah Pacelli that did the cover. It was this other artist, so thank you for that. But I got this already graded. It's a 2.0. Low grade is better than no grade. Off-white pages. Very happy with it, from a book from 1962. Paid $1,100 for this book. It's about a $6,000 or $7,000 book at this point, and they haven't even had rumors of Doctor Doom yet. So this is a book, again, still has potential and still will go up in value. So if you can get even a lower grade, that's a book you want to get. All right, number 4. Just like that Hulk 180 I showed you, this is another book that I got for a steal. It's not as low as what I paid for that Hulk 190, but even at the time I bought it, which was about three and a half years ago, I paid so much undervalue then compared to even now, and this book still has room to grow because it's another, well, you'll see it as soon as you see it, but this person said it was about a 4.0. When I looked at this book, I said there is no way that this is a 4.0. It is so much higher. It came back lower than what I actually thought it would be, but because it's a square-bound book, it's a lot harder to get all of the little defects here and there. But nothing incredibly majorly wrong with this book. I could not believe the price I paid for it. With shipping and handling, and after getting it graded, because I bought it raw, I paid $215 for this book. I have several copies of this book. Again, it's a book I highly recommend getting. Giant Size X-Men number 1 came back a 7.5. I actually thought it was going to be an 8.0 to an 8.5 with white pages. I paid $215 for this book, and that was about a quarter of what it was worth when I bought it. So deals are out there, because like I said, this person said that this book was about a 4.0 to a 4.5, somewhere in that range. And because I know I'm not an expert at grading, but I'm pretty good at it, if you see all of my PGX videos, most of them I'm within the range I say it's going to be. I think I'm like a 95% ratio of being in that range. Every now and then I'm off. But if you know what you're looking for, you can tell. I mean, this cover, especially with all white, I mean, it's clean. And especially on the back, there are no foxing at all along the edge, which you'll get a lot of because, of course, when somebody reading a book, their fingerprints, and if you didn't wash your hands and you just came in from playing all day when you were a kid, you get those books really dirty. Bronze Page says, Chris, good to see you again. How are your cats? They actually, when it went down to about 35 to 38 degrees, I went outside, I bought we have a bunch of cat beds I put out there, and I surrounded them with blankets and towels and sheets and covered them over. And not every cat used them, but there were some cats that utilized those, and they all were perfectly fine. I've seen cats like outside survive in the snowstorms. Matter of fact, one of our cats that passed away a couple years ago, Luna, when we found her, we literally opened the door one day, it was a blizzard out, and she just walked in from the snow. So cats are pretty good survivors, so they're all doing well. And I have 3 inside cats now, but thank you for asking about that. All right, my top 3. This is a book that got stolen from me when I was a kid. Took me years before I can come up with the funds at the time. I bought this about 2017. I got this and, well, I'll tell you what it is afterwards. There were 2 books that I bought for, it was about $2,000. Got this graded a couple years ago, but it was not pressed at the time because this was before I knew what pressings were. Resubmitted it, and it actually bumped it up a 0.5 grade. have about 6 copies of this book. If you can have access to get this book, please get it. I've been telling people and stressing for years. So my third best book is Hulk 181. I'm not going to show all the different copies. I'm just going to show the highest graded one. Absolutely love this. This is the first full appearance of Wolverine, and of course, with him being on the cover, I think that's why people choose this book more than Hulk 180. But remember, 180, you can't have 181 without 180. But this came back in 8.5 off-white to white pages. I paid $1,567, including grading costs. Has the Marvel value stamp. I don't want you to think I'm hiding anything. And this book is nice and clean. Now, of course, it is off-centered a little bit, but that doesn't affect the grade. I've seen 9.8s with off-centered books. That's just a manufacturing error. So they do not disqualify you for that. Sometimes it's a matter of taste. Because you can have a 9.8 book with completely straight, and you can have a 9.8 book like it just wasn't folded right during production. They'll still be the same grade. Somebody just may want it to be straighter. I really don't care, to be honest. I mean, if all things were equal and the prices were the same, of course I'd want the one that looks straighter. But if I can save $50, $100 on a book just because it's slanted a little bit and it's the same grade, I'm perfectly fine with that. So this has the Marvel stamp. It also came with another Hulk 180 at an 8.0. That came out to about $400. But deals are out there. All right, so the last two. This book I bought right before I shut down my original We Love Comics channel. So most people never got to see it at the time. I bought this, again, during the acquisition of the Fox properties from Disney, right before it happened. And probably the only time I'll ever be able to acquire this book again. I will be selling it soon, but not until there's an official movie. Not just appearances. I want the official movie, which is probably another 2 or 3 years away. But my number 2 book is X-Men #1. First appearance of the X-Men. First appearance of Magneto. And, of course, Professor X, who's not on the cover. I paid $2,062.64 for this book. It's a CGC. It was already graded at the time. CGC 3.0 with creamed off-white pages. As of now, this is about a $10,000 to $12,000 book, give or take. Once they have the official X-Men movies, because, they're going to introduce certain characters first and probably have them in other movies like they did with the Avengers first. They split it up, and then eventually there'll be an X-Men movie. So you probably won't see an X-Men movie for at least another between 5 and 10 years. So this book is only going to continue to grow, and I just was happy to have the money at the time. I had my massage business back then. I remember selling a very big massage package to somebody and had just enough to be able to acquire this book. Very happy with the 3.0 CGC. Last but not least, this was at the time the most expensive book I ever bought. It is now tied with one of the other books that I mentioned earlier. I paid a grand total of $5,000 for this book a couple of years ago. That was after I made a deal with a person on eBay. I think they were selling it for about $6,500 to $7,000. Got them down to $5,000. Very happy that I got this book again with the acquisition of Fox Studios. To me, this was a no-brainer. And even though my wife was nervous at the time, I spent $5,000. Considering what this is worth now and what it will be worth, cannot complain. So my number 1 book, I wish it was Amazing Fantasy 15, but I'll take this. Fantastic Four, #1. First appearance of the Fantastic Four. Already graded, 2.5. Signed by Stan Lee. Now, it's not on the cover. This was, he signed it on the first page, which makes sense because back in the days, and this includes back in the 90s, when I was getting books signed, a lot of older generation artists would open the book and sign the first page on the bottom in pen. They wouldn't want the cover to be signed. So that tells me that the person who got this signed got it done decades ago. Saw Stan Lee at a convention or somewhere, and they signed it on the first page. So sometimes you should really open your Silver Age, Bronze Age books and look at that first page. Because I've even seen books with Todd McFarlane. His signature was on the first page, and it tends to be on the bottom right here. So Stan Lee signed this. It does have glue on the spine, and the cover is loose. But off-white to white pages at a 2.5 for $5,000. Very happy with this book. Again, I think this is about a $12,000 book as of now. Could be more, I'm not sure. So, very happy to where this is going. And again, I don't think they're going to go straight out to a Fantastic Four movie. I think they're going to show some of the characters first. But I think you'll see a Fantastic Four movie before you'll see an X-Men movie. But that's my opinion. So that is my top 25 comics of all time. I hope someday I can add others to this top 25. Who knows? Maybe books I already have. Maybe with movies or, you know, characters over the years. They become more and more popular. You know, many of these are not for sale. But if somebody wanted to make me an offer I couldn't refuse, I would at the very least consider it. But like books like Fantastic Four #1 or X-Men #1 or the Hulk 181, those I'm not selling. But I'll listen to any offers somebody has to make. The worst I can say is no, or at least thank you for your offer. But probably within the next 3 to 5 years, I'll be selling my collection. Because I said from the get-go back in 2016 that I would collect my comics until I was about 55, somewhere around that area, sell them, and use them to buy our forever home. I mean, I have no children, not going to have any children, unfortunately, so I'm going to have nobody to leave these to. My wife does not collect comics, so she could care less about them. So I want to eventually just sell everything and enjoy the golden years of my life, how many of them I have left. So it's not there yet, but I'm getting close. I turned 51, which means I have at least another 4 years of holding on to these books. And just because I sell them doesn't mean I'm selling them all, you know, the next day I sell them. But we'll see. So thank you to the 25 people that hit the like button. 33 people watched this. I'm very happy about that. Let's do today's surprise subscriber shout out. We're going to go with Bake the Snake. You are the first subscriber shout out. And we're going to go with Gotham City Comics. Both of you are today's surprise subscriber shout outs. If you don't know what that entails, that means if you have been chosen as one of the surprise subscriber shout outs, in the comment section you could post a link to either a video or to your YouTube channel if you make videos. If you don't and you'd rather put a link to one of your social networks, you can do that. Or if you don't have that and you'd prefer to put a link to something you sell on eBay, Etsy, Amazon, any of those places, I don't care, you can do that. Keep in mind that I do have to approve any links, so they will not be approved right away, so you will not see them. I want to make sure they don't go anywhere inappropriate. So if you do go to the comment section and you do see a link, that means it has been verified to be, you know, kid and user friendly. So go give somebody a like, a share, you know, go check them out, see what they have to sell, and support other people in the community. So Jacob says, I'd love to contribute to your forever home. And I appreciate that. I might be doing an auction soon for some books. I just have to really have the time and motivation to do it. Like I said, I have a lot of things going on that I'm not going to get into that has affected my life in a certain way. And I have to have the right frame of mind to be able to want to do it. So forgive me that I haven't done an auction in a while, but I might do some soon. But like I said, if any of these books, there's certain ones I'm not going to be selling. But if somebody wants to make an offer I can't refuse, you know, you never know. Somebody might just dazzle me with a number that I'm like, you know, it's worth selling. So any of these books, if you want to make an offer on something, just let me know. And if you live in the Florida area and you pay cash for something that we agree on, I'll throw in something extra as a thank you. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. 28 of you said that you did. I thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you'll check others of mine. Check the description of this and every video. There's a lot of different links and different offers that I have for you guys discount codes and things like that I never even speak about. So go check those out, and I really appreciate it. Jacob says, bought several books and packages before. Everything always on point. So there you go. Jacob is one of the people that bought some of my mystery packages and stuff. I make sure I take care of people, because I've seen videos of people buying some very expensive comic boxes, mystery boxes, and they would put like generic comics in there, or books that just not worth anything. I mean, like I said, one of the people that bought one of my mystery boxes, one of the 20 books was a Daredevil #1 6.0. I make sure I take care of people. Now, of course, that book wasn't as valuable as it is now, but it wasn't a $5 book either. So, unless you buy like the $99 mystery box, you know, some of the bigger ones, you're going to get some key issues. I'm going to make sure about that. So, go check out my mystery boxes. The link is in the description. It's on my Peaceful Feelings website, where I sell my Orgone pyramids and stuff like that. And hey, pick one up. It helps support me as well. And I really appreciate that, because if I could start getting some higher income coming in, I could really start getting back into buying comics and doing all the things I used to do. So the more you guys help, and by helping, I'm not asking for donations. I mean, of course, if somebody wanted to send PayPal or something, they can. But, you know, me with somebody buying a book, I like the feeling that if I sell a book, I'm selling it to somebody here who loves comics and is buying it because they love it and wanted it, and it's going to make them happy. You know, when you sell on eBay, you don't know the purpose of or who's buying it. But here, I know if you're going to my channel, you're going because you love comics, and you're buying a comic because you love or want that comic. It makes me feel good that even though I'm getting rid of a book, which some of them, you know, you do get that attachment to, but at least I know it's going to a place where they're going to appreciate it and be very happy. Because some people have bought books from me that they never had before and always wanted, and got it for a price that they could not get anywhere else, and it made them really happy. And I'm very proud to have seen other people's videos where they show a book that they bought from me, and the smile on their face of acquiring a book that they never thought they would be able to own. So that makes me feel good, and in this world, we need more of that. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to contact me on a personal level instead of a comment, you can contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. Or you could just leave a comment and we can go from there. So that's my top 25. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, either good, bad, or indifferent. Hit the like button before you leave. And do not forget, check out some of my other videos. But also, it is not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. I hope you all have a great day, and thank you so much for watching. Much love to you all.